Oh, Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant, and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome all of you for this online satsang of the Satya Sai Center of Arcadia. And today we will be talking about Lord Ganesha, because on 22nd, that is coming day after tomorrow, on Saturday, we have this what we call GaneshChaturthi or GaneshChaturthi. This is celebrated by devotees all over India, very uniquely and in a grand scale, and also by devotees in many parts of the world. This comes once a year in the month of Bhadrapada. Bhadrapada on the fourth day, that is why it is called Chaviti or Chaturdashi. So on the fourth day of the Bhadrapada month, once a year it comes. And this is specially dedicated for adoration and worship and remembering his example for all of us to follow, because he's the remover of obstacles. Swami used to celebrate grand scale every year in Prashanti Nilayam for many days. The students in a grand scale, each one used to make nice, beautiful Ganapatis. One time they brought 75 Ganapatis, and the Swami said they wanted to be 750 Ganapatis. But Swami said you may be 75 crores of Ganapati, but important is you need to understand the principle of Ganapati. So that is what Swami says, to have the purity of heart. That is what Ganapati shows. That is what you should develop. But this is people express their love in making, particularly the clay Ganapatis people. That is one of the very popular thing which they do. And then subsequently they merge it in the ocean or in the water to show that also in a lesson. That means you go from formless to form. That means clay, which has no form, from that you make a nice, beautiful form of Ganesha. Again, once you merge it, it goes to formless. That is the whole secret, the life from formless, the form comes and ultimately goes to the formless. That is why Nirguna, Nirakara, attributeless, formless, God takes the form for our redemption and ultimately goes formless. We can see any avatar. That is why avatar means somebody who descends into the form. And Swami, Shirdi Baba, Rama, these are example. Avatarana means descending. They came on particular time from the Nirguna Nirakara. They take a form and a name and attribute, and again they disappear into that attributeless, formless reality. And same thing with the Ganesha. Here, when we celebrate this day, we should remember the spiritual significance. Swami says these holidays will become holy days when you know the inner significance. And Swami, in his kindness, elaborated and explained in many discourses about the significance of Ganesh Chaturthi. First, I would like to dwell on the name itself. So we call him Vinayaka, Vinayak Chaturthi also called. Vinayaka. Nayaka means leader. Vinayaka means the one who has no leader. That means nobody is above him. He is the highest. Swami says he doesn't worship anybody. All the gods and goddesses, they worship Vinayaka. That is why he is called Pradama Bhajo. He is the one, Pradama Vandana. He is the one first to be worshipped. In any function anybody does, first worship goes to Ganapati. That's why it's called Pradama Vandana. So that is why it is celebrated. Here, Vinayaka means is nobody who is above him. He is the highest master. So even the gods worship. Second thing we call Gajanana, because all this will be using in our bhajans. You hear, we should know the meaning of Gajanana. Means simply word Gaja means elephant, Anana head. Gajanana means the one who has elephant head. That is obvious. But Swami said inner meaning. Ga means Gamyate. What is the goal? Ja means Janma, birth. Anana means face. So the one who makes us face to face with God is Gajanana. He helps us to come face to face with God. That is why he's called Gajanana. And third thing also we call Ganapati, right? The very commonly used Ganapati. That means he is the head of Ganas. So there are supposed to be 12 Ganas. Also there are 12 Adityas. So he is the head of all those Ganas. Swami says simply, what are those 12 Ganas? 5 Karmendriyas, 5 organs of action, hands, feet, and all of you know that, right? So the Karmendriyas. Then 5 Jnanendriyas, organs of perception. Then becomes 10. And then 11th is mind, manas. And 12th is buddhi, intellect. So these are the one which takes us towards bliss or gets us into trouble, these 12 ganas. So when you pray to Lord Ganesha, he keeps control of all these ganas. That is another meaning of Ganapati. And another thing, Gana, Swami himself said, Ga means buddhi, intellect, sharp intellect. Na means vijnana, that is experience of the highest good. That's why people talk about Lord Ganapati gives you Siddhi and Buddhi. Some people said he has 2 wives called Siddhi Buddhi. Swami said, and scripture says he was always a bachelor. He didn't do that mistake of marrying. He doesn't have. People, because they marry, they project that to the Lord Ganesha. His gift is Siddhi and Buddhi. So once you have Buddhi, good intellect, you will have Siddhi, attainment. That is what it is. Because there is actually a story when Bala Ganapati, when Ganesha was small, she was playing with a cat, and suddenly playing, he scratched cat, something had happened. Then when he see to Mother Parvati went to see her, then he saw the scratch on the mother's face. He said, Mom, who scratched you? I want to uh, take care of the person. You did that, she said. I did that. When did I do that? Says, that cat you scratched, that is me. I am there in all beings. Then he realized if he is there in all beings, so every person is my mother. Every lady is like equivalent to my mother. So he never married. He was always a bachelor, a good example. But the Siddhi and Buddhi are the one which are the gifts of Lord Ganesha when you pray. So you'll have a good intellect. Once you use it in the right direction, you will get the Siddhi. So that is the significance of all these names, Vinayaka, Gajanana, and then Ganapati. And then when you come to Lord Ganesha, we always do many prayers, but there are 2 common prayers which everybody does, and Swami explained that. So just I will briefly touch upon them. One is Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Sheshivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopa Shantaye. So we should know, instead of mechanically chanting, when you chant, you should know the meaning, then you enjoy that. Shuklam Baradharam. That means, Shukla means white. So one who is clad in white is in white. Vishnu. Vishnu means it's not just Brahma, Vishnu, Trinity. Vishnu means the real meaning in Sanskrit is all pervading. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. Ganapati is here, there, in Europe, South America, everywhere he is there. So Vishnu means he's all pervading. Sheshivarnam. So he has the complexion of Vibhuti. That is what great complexion. Chaturbhujam. He has 4 hands, 4 arms. So here I want to tell, anyway, we'll come to the Chaturbhujam later on. He has 4 hands. Chaturbhujam, Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum, Sheshivarnam Chaturbhujam, Prasanna Vadanam. This is very important. Swami says, always you have a pleasing face. That is why we say, have a smiling face. Even if it's always ABC, always be cheerful. Put on a smiling face, no cast oil face. Swami says, always have a happy, smiling face. So he has Prasanna Vadanam. You never see a angry Ganesha. Even Shiva you can see in Raudra. But always Ganesha is happy, smiling and happy like he goes. So he's always blessing people. Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet. That means we are meditating on Lord Ganesha. Sarva Vignopashantaye. He will remove all the obstacles. That is the meaning when we chant this. You should imagine the one who is clad in white, who has ashen thing and with his 4 hands, and he has always that beautiful smiling face blessing us. Another thing we chant in the Vedas, most of the Vedic sessions, in our sessions, Ganapati Adharvashesham. This is another important one. I don't want to go into the complete detail. It will take a long time. But this Ganapati Adharvashesham is a part of Adharvana Veda. You know, all of us chant, Om Gam Gam Ganapataye Nama, Gananam Twang Ganapati Gum Havamahe. The whole thing goes. But here, few points, important thing we need to remember. He says, Tvam Brahmastvam, Vishnustvam, Rudrastvam, Indrastvam, Agnistvam, Vayustvam, Suryastvam, Chandramastvam, Brahma Bhurbhuvaswaram. So he says, Ganapati, this is very beautifully described by that Rishi, that he says, you are the Brahma, you are the Vishnu, you are the Rudra, you are the Indra, and you are the Agni, that means fire god, you are the Vayu, the wind god, and you are the Chandra, you are the moon god, and you are the Surya, the sun god. You are the Brahman, Brahma, and Bhurbhuvaswaram. We talked last week about Bhurbhuvaswa, the significance of Bhurbhuvaswa. That is all the Vedas. That is why Ganapati is supposed to be the source of all Vedas. Another thing it is emphasized, another point in that is, Tum, in this Tvam Gunatrayatitaha. That means you are beyond all gunas. We all are composed of 3 gunas. What? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. But God, you are beyond all the gunas. You are Triguna Atita. Tvam Gunatrayatita. Tvam Avastatrayatita. That means you are beyond the 3 states. What are we all go through 3 stages. We are wakeful stage. Then we go to dream stage. And then we go to deep sleep stage. So these are the 3 avasthas we all go to that. But God, Ganesha, is beyond the 3 avasthas. Tvam avastatrayatita. And then we said, Tvam dehatrayatita. We all have 3 bodies. What? Physical body, that is physically what we see. And then Suchma, that is the mental and intellectual sheath. And then we have Karana Sharira. Sthola Sharira, Suchma, and Karana. These are the 3. But God, Ganesha, is beyond those 3. He is Avastatrayatitaha and Dehatrayatita, beyond the 3. And then he is Kalatrayatitaha. So he is beyond the 3. We are all bound by 3 times: past, present, and future. But God is beyond all the 3. So that is what we chant. And he also say, he is the Muladhara Sthitinistyam. He is there in our Muladhara chakra. So he is the one who rouses our Kundalini energy and gives Shakti, Shakti Trayatmaka. We have 3 powers: Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. That means to think about doing something, we all need. Anything you do, first you need to have Sankalpa. Then you have the willpower, Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti. We need to do that. So he is embodiment of all those things. This is there in the Ganapati Atharva Shirsham. So this is whenever we chant, the whole thing is very big, but at least the highlights, when you chant that, we should know the significance. And next, we see Ganesha, right? The beautiful Ganesha you are seeing. When you see, you should know at least some significance of that. So Swami said, elephant head. Elephant is known for its very high intelligence. So Lord Ganesha is the one, is the bestower of intelligence. Second is he has huge ears, right? Like fan-like ears. That way Shorpa Karna comes. He has huge ears. So it is not for fun. To indicate, Swami says he wants to hear everything, Shravanam. But his mouth is small, you won't even see the mouth, right? So similarly, we should hear from people instead of go on chatting, talking. As Swami says, hear all and say nothing. So he goes on hearing our things and helps, but doesn't go on talking. So there is this huge ears to hear, but small mouth. And also his eyes are very small, but very sharp, acute, able to see everything. And third thing is his trunk. He has a huge trunk. The trunk signifies two things. Swami says the elephant trunk. With the trunk, it can remove huge trees, right? So it can just throw the trees. That shows the strength. At the same time, it is said that you put a needle on the floor, a small needle, it can pick it up. So it has the discrimination, like hums up to discriminate the water from the milk. Similarly, this Lord Ganesha gives us the power of discrimination and power of strength. And then we see these four hands, four arms, each carrying different things. So one hand, it holds these sweets, right? So he's giving us nice sweets to enjoy. So he fulfills our desires. But poor Ganesha himself, he is this modakas, which are really not that tasty, boiled stuff. So he doesn't bother about himself. So as Swami says, give all and take nothing. So he goes on giving to us, but he is beyond desires. He has no, but he is the giver and fulfiller of all desires. So in one hand, he has the sweets, laddus to give to us, but takes only modakas and which are bland and boiled. And another hands, he has that blessing hands, Varada Mudra and Abhaya Mudra. He making us fearless and giver of the boons. And another hand, he has got this axe, not to kill, but get rid of all the negative qualities and attachment. So that is what one hand he has got. And another hand, he has got lotus to show the detachment. But some of the Ganeshas, they have called Pasham. Pasham means rope to pull you close to him. Ankusham. So there are different ways the Ganapati is represented. So there are actually 32 types of Ganapati which are described in different places, starting Bala Ganapati, Maha Ganapati, Durga Ganapati, Nritya Ganapati, the Ganapati who dances, and Lakshmi Ganapati, Shakti Ganapati, Bhakti Ganapati, and Trimukha Ganapati. So many Ganapatis are there. 32 Ganapati of different way the representations are done. But in general, there are different things they carry. But these are the main things we need to remember. So here, Swami said, you need to understand that Lord Ganesha, how does he help us in spiritual life? The thing is Mushika Vahana. What does he ride? His huge body with a big belly. People think big belly is not that he is eating a lot. He eats all our sins and problems. That is why he go on taking, that is why. And he is a repository of all jnana. That is why he is full of jnana. His big belly, Swami said, is full of wisdom, jnana. So if you go and offer to him, surrender to him, he will give us a lot of jnana. That is the big belly. Then you come to his Mushika Vahana, his vehicle. His small mouse, even so big. But what does it represent? Mushika, the rats, when are they most active? In the night, right? Night represents darkness. So he is master of the ignorance. He will get rid of. Another thing with the rats is they have vasanas. They like smells. So you put some food, they go and take it and get attracted. So if somebody wants to trap the rats, we have problem. They put some of this food material, so they go get attracted and get trapped. So these are the two weaknesses. One is in the darkness. Second is he has weakness, these vasanas. Similarly, we are all bound in the world because of our ignorance, darkness. Second, we have these outgoing tendencies, desires. We want this, that, and get trapped in the bondage of the world. So Lord Ganesha, when you pray to him, is because he is the controller of that. He helps that. So that is the wonderful message. Just you look at it, Swami gives significance of each aspect of Lord Ganesha. Another thing is in his life itself, Swami said we should learn some major things. Number one, we also Ekadantam Chaturhastam. He has only one danta, only one tusk. Elephant has two tusks, he has only one. A lot of you know, but it is worthwhile reminding ourselves again. That's when Sage Vyasa, he codified Vedas, he wrote the Puranas and Shastras. So one of the great things he wrote is Mahabharata. There are more than about 200,000 verses. It's a huge one compared to Ramayana. Ramayana is, I think, 28,000 verses. So huge one he has to write. And this Mahabharata is called Panchama Vedam, fifth Vedam, because it has a repository of knowledge. And the two greatest scriptures are contained in Mahabharata. We all know that, all the spiritual seekers. One is Bhagavad Gita is there in Mahabharata. Second is Vishnu Sahasranama. These two are the most powerful scriptures in the scripture. So when Vedavyasa has to write this Mahabharata, he needed some help, somebody who to scribe. He goes on dictating because it comes to him. Somebody has to take down the notes, right? Somebody has to write it. So this was suggested, take the help of Ganesha. Ganesha said, yes, if there's any good work, I will take. But only one condition. When I write it, I had to go on writing continuously. I cannot stop. So you should make sure once you stop, you take a break in between, that means I won't do the work. So that is the condition with which Ganesha undertook the deal. So he said, yes, okay, definitely, Vyasa. But he said, Vyasa also said, when you are writing, you should understand when you are writing, just don't. So he is also, Vyasa is Narayana, embodiment of Narayana. So he was writing. When he was writing, he's such a dedicated worker. There's a lesson for us. When he was writing, suddenly his writing instrument, that Gandham, they broke. So then right away, then he cannot stop. He gave a word that he will never stop. Then he broke his task and used this as an instrument to write. So that shows his dedication. When you are dedicated to do some work, put all your heart, soul, strength in doing that work. That is another important lesson you learn from Lord Ganesha. And second, also, most of the story, the competition, so-called competition between Murugan, the Kartikeya, his brother, and Lord Ganesha. One time, Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva gave them a challenge. Whoever goes around the world comes back to us, they will get the prize. So, as the story says, Kartikeya, he has a peacock vehicle that goes pretty fast. This poor Ganesha is so big, and the little mouse, how can he catch up with him? But he has Sukshma Buddhi. That is very important. That's why in life, Swami says you need to have that Sukshma Buddhi, or subtle intelligence. So, because Lord Shiva and Parvati, who are they? They are the whole universe itself is them. They are the mother and father of the whole universe. So he thought about this is the best. I'll go around my mother and father. That is equivalent to going around the world. So he wins the contest. So this is two lessons. One is always have that Sukshma Buddhi. Second is respect for parents. So they are not only the parents, his physical parents, but they're the parents for the whole universe. So once you do that, it is equivalent to circumambulating the whole universe. So you should see God is pervading everything. Don't confine him only to a particular place. That is another lesson. Here, as I said, Swami used to celebrate so beautifully, grandly the Ganesha festival in Prashanthi Nilayam, I want to tell about the stories of two great devotees. So one is called Swami Amrutananda. This Swami Amrutananda, he was a great spiritual seeker, and he came to Prashanthi Nilayam. That time he was 85 years old. So he was a follower of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, you heard great Advaitic master. So he went to Prashanthi Nilayam, and Swami saw him in darshan, and he called Amrutam. This man was shocked because we have all our pet names. So only Bhagavan Ramana used to call him Amrutam because it is a very endearing, and actually even the voice sounded like his guru, Ramana Maharshi. He called Amrutam. He was surprised because this Swami Amrutananda was with Ramana Maharshi for 17 years, and he used to be so close. He called Amrutam, and Swami called him Amrutam. So he was very much touched by Swami's love and endearing address. So then naturally Swami called him in the interview, and then he was 85 years old, and Swami asked him, what did you do when you were 7 years old? Swami, I did Ganapati Homa. Swami was not even born by that time. Physically, he never was born because this man was 85 and Swami was in his 30s. So what did you do? Swami knows everything. He shows beautifully. So he's not just this physical form. He was with us. He is with us. He will be with us. He asked, what did you do? Swami, I did a Ganapati Homam. What did you do? He says, for 41 days, every day, I did this Homam where 1,000 coconuts we had to break, and then you need to chant this mantra, Om, Hrim, Klim, so Ganapati mantra. 1,000 Ganapati mantra you chant, and 1,000 coconut offerings for 41 days. So if you do that, so what will happen? Swami asked, at the end of the 41 days, in that Homa fire, a golden Ganesha form should supposed to be appear, and from his trunk he will take the Homa offerings. Final harvest, he will take the offering. That is the result of doing that Homa that sincerely for that days. Swami said, did you have that? He says, no, I was only a 7-year-old boy, so I didn't deserve that. I didn't get it. No, it never goes. Whatever spiritual practices you do, it is there. It is cosmic record. Because of that only you came to me. Now look at me, Swami said. He looks at him. Instead of Swami, he sees this golden colored, beautiful Ganesha in place of Swami. He was in bliss. He really could not believe his eyes. What he did, all the sadhana, now after 78 years, he did at the age of 7. After 78 years, he had that beautiful vision of golden hued Ganesha. And then it is recorded, actually this is recorded in Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Professor Kasturi, he had the experience and talked to him. He really used to relate in his sharing the experiences. For 4 days, this Swami Amrutananda was in bliss. No food, no water, no sleep, because he was so much in bliss of having that vision of golden Ganesha. Then recent story I want to tell. This is a very interesting. I came across this is very much touching. This is one professor. His name is John Grimes. So he's actually from USA. Not only from USA, he's from California. He's a professor who used to teach in University of Santa Barbara. So this man, so somehow got interested in Ganesha. So he's a Swami's devotee. He went to Swami in 1971. And so first time Swami saw him in darshan, and Swami materialized in darshan itself a Ganesha coin. And Swami looked at him and gave it to him, just showing that for his. So there must be a previous life connection, only Swami knows. This man was supposed to give a little thesis or research paper or talk about Ganesha for 2 days. So with this man, he has to do all research about Ganesha. Who is Ganesha? What is Ganesha? So he did all that, and even he did his PhD in Chennai, India. So this man got interested in Ganesha. So there are Ashta Ganesha temples in Maharashtra, near Pune. I heard 8 Ganesha temples. So he was so much interested, he went to see all these Ganesha temples. So at one Ganesha temple, they said there is a cave. You go and worship. This is a very special, powerful cave. So he went there, he went in the cave and he was doing his meditation. Suddenly, when he sees in front of you, a huge 6 foot Ganesha appears and with two hands, one hand Abhaya Mudra and another hand Gada, the club. This man was, and then on the little finger of Ganesha was a chakra, a discus. Around the discus was lots of rishis and are there. Suddenly that went like that, and the chakra, the discus was released. All those sages they flew away, and then that chakra hit his forehead, and he lost consciousness. Then when he woke up, he was in bliss for 36 hours. Like this Swami was 4 days, he was 36 hours. But this man did a lot of research. As I said, there are 32 Ganapatis, all of them 4 hands, four arms. He never had any Ganapati with 2. So he said, how is it possible? There is only Ganapati with 4. How can I have this vision of Ganapati with 2? There is something I have. So then he was wondering, then he came out. Then, as I said, this Adharvana Shisham, Ganapati Adharvana Shisham, there was some people who did research in that. There are some priests. So they said, you talk to them, he will explain to you. So this Professor John Grimes, he went to that man. Sir, I want to know what this two-handed Ganapati, do you know? He says, what did you? No, no, I want you to tell me what it is. How did you? No, 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 you tell, sir, you are expert, you about these things, you tell me. Yes, there is only one Ganapati with 2 hands, because usually in this modern age, Mahaganapati is a special importance is given in this age of Kali, it is said. But this Ganapati has only 2 hands. One is Abhaya Mudra, be fearless. And second is Gada. That means he'll beat you up if you're in the wrong direction. So one is Abhayam, another is Gada. So he says, yes, it is exists. There are 2 Puranas on Ganapati. One is Ganapati Purana, which is written by Vyasa. There is another Purana is Mudgala Purana, which is written by a great sage, Rishi called Mudgala. In that Purana, it is described there is one Ganapati is who has got just only 2 hands, this Abhaya and then this Gada. So he did the research on that, this man, because he does research. He found there is one temple in Karnataka, they have one Ganapati with just the 2 hands. It is believed that there is a big story. We don't want to, like when Ravana was taking the Atmalinga of the Lord Shiva. So this Ganapati plays a trick. So he gives it to him to hold it, and Ganapati, that is the place it is supposed to be. Just he says, "Oh, I cannot bear it," and leaves it. So this is where that particular Ganapati temple is there. So this particular man, he must have a connection in previous life. So then he gets this vision of 2-armed Ganapati blessing. Then after many years, 20 years or so, he comes to, because he has been going to see Swami many times. And Swami calls him along with another group of people for the interview. Firstly, I said he gave him in the beginning 71 itself a gold coin of Ganapati. Then he goes this time. So Swami was materializing many things, these bracelets. This man mind was thinking, Swami doesn't materialize anything which is beautiful, exquisite, very very special, because like watches, for him it was not exciting. Something very exquisite, beautiful, aesthetically nice. I wish he does that. Swami reads your thoughts. Then he was giving many things to many people, rings and chains. Then it comes to him materialized and gave him a beautiful golden the pendant of Ganesha. Actually, it is there. If you can look on the internet and the radio site, is there. This is very beautiful story. So that Ganapati has rubies, diamonds, exquisite. I never saw something like that. You can look at it. Is this Ganapati with the rubies and diamonds studded, and Swami gives him after that. So how all these things get connected? Because this man has that love for Lord Ganapati. So when you have that worship, whatever you worship him with so much intensity and love, so he always responds to our prayers. So I pray to Swami to bless us, so that at least this coming Saturday we all intensely pray to him, understanding the meaning of the prayers and taking his example to lead our life accordingly. Jai Sai Ram. Oh, now we are going to play the divine discourse of Swami on the significance of Ganapati. This is a short video clip, so we are going to watch that. We will followed by the announcement and the bhajans. Sai Ram.
ఇట్టి వినాయక చవితిని ఈ భాద్రపద చతుర్దశి దినము
on the fourth day of this Bhadrapada month,
మనం పూజించడం చేత
as we worship,
వినాయకుని యొక్క అనుగ్రహము ఎంతైనా దండిగా నిండుగా మనకు లభిస్తుంది అనేటువంటి విశ్వాసము ఆనాటి నుంచి నేటి వరకు ప్రజల్లో పెరుగుతూ వచ్చింది.
by offering special worship to Vinayaka on the fourth day of this month Bhadrapada, we will be recipients of the munificent grace of Vinayaka.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
embodiments of love,
ముఖ్యంగా మన పవిత్రమైన చరిత్రలన్నీ కూడాను
the history which is sacred,
ఎన్నో అంతరాత్మలతో కూడినటువంటి పవిత్రతలంతా ఉన్నాయి.
has got so many subtle secrets behind.
కానీ పిల్లలు ఎవరు ఏ చరిత్రను కూడా చదవరు.
But the students do not read the history.
ఈ నావల్స్ కథలంతా చదువుకుంటూ కూర్చుంటారు.
But they read novels and stories.
ఈ కథల్లో ఏ మాత్రం కూడా మీనింగ్ ఉండదు.
The novel stories are meaningless.
ఈ కథలు చదవటం అంతా వ్యతనే.
It is all vyatha, the misery.
దివ్యమైనటువంటి యొక్క మార్గదర్శకును బోధించేటువంటిది అంతా కూడా చరిత్రలు.
The history shows you the divine path.
ఏమిటి ఆ హిస్టరీ?
What is the history?
హిస్ స్టోరీ ఈజ్ హిస్టరీ.
His story is history.
కనుక దైవం యొక్క స్టోరీ అది హిస్టరీ.
It is the history of the God.
దాన్ని మనం చదవాలి.
We should read that.
మిగతావన్నీ చదివి ప్రయోజనం లేదు.
It is useless to read remaining.
కనుకనే మహాభారతము, భాగవతము, రామాయణము ఇలాంటి దాంట్లో అంతా కూడా ఎంత పవిత్రమైన చరిత్రలు ఉంటున్నాయి.
Bhagavata, Ramayana, Bharata are sacred epics.
కనుక ఇలాంటి పవిత్రమైనటువంటి చరిత్రలు కూడినటువంటిది వినాయక చరిత్ర.
Vinayaka Chaturthi has got the message of all these three epics.
వినాయకుడు గొప్ప జ్ఞాని.
Vinayaka is very wise.
అతనికి ఉండినటువంటి జ్ఞానం మరొకటి లేదు.
None can excel him in wisdom.
కనుకనే సర్వదేవతలు కూడాను వినాయకుడిని ఆరాధిస్తూ వచ్చారు.
So all deities, devatas worship him.
అందరికీ పూజనీయుడు వినాయకుడు.
All worship Vinayaka.
అట్టి వినాయక చతుర్దశి దినము
On this day of Vinayaka
మనం
Chaturthi,
కాలమును వ్యర్థం చేయకూడదు.
we should not waste our time.
చాలా మంది విద్యార్థులందరూ కూడాను గ్రంథములంతా కూడాను వినాయకుడి దగ్గర పెడతారు.
Many students keep their textbooks in front of Vinayaka
వినాయకుడికి
idol.
అర్పితం చేసి వాటిని తిరిగి స్వీకరిస్తారు.
They make all offerings and then partake.
అనగా భగవంతుడు స్వీకరించినటువంటి ఒక జ్ఞానము మాకు బోధించాలి.
Meaning the wisdom of God should be given to us.
అందువల్ల ఈనాడు చాలా విద్యార్థులు చాలా వినాయకుడిని పూజించడం అత్యవసరం.
It's most essential the students worship Vinayaka.
ఈ వినాయకుని యందు ఉన్నటువంటి యొక్క విశిష్టత చాలా గొప్పది.
This is the great significance of Vinayaka.
వినాయకుడు ఏ వాంఛలు కోరడు.
Vinayaka has no desire.
దేనిని ఆశించడు.
He doesn't expect anything.
ఆశించిన వారికి అంతా అనుగ్రహించేటువంటి వాడు
In
వినాయకుడు.
fact, he fulfills all your desires.